Brought to you by Hug House Productions.
Hi, hello, listener of Never Morphed. If you like this show, I am convinced you are going to love The Newest Olympian by Mike Schubert. Why am I so certain? Because that's one of the shows that inspired this show. Real ones who listen to the credits already know. Each week, Mike dives into the Percy Jackson series, which I love, joined by guests who are longtime fans of the Rick Riordan series. If you haven't read these books yet, this is the perfect way to get started and read along with Mike. They're so good. And like Animorphs, they're kids' books that touch on way more serious topics than you might expect. And they're about worldwide mythologies, starting with Greek and Roman. I know you gays love mythology. If you have already read the books and know how good they are, you'll love this series too. The dramatic irony, man. And if you know about the books from the Disney Plus series, Mike has done interviews and conversations with some of the cast of the show on The Newest Olympian too. Mike is a great host, a great editor, and obviously a huge inspiration for me. You can find The Newest Olympian in the show notes or wherever you get your podcasts. Go subscribe right now and enjoy.
Brought to you by Hug House Productions.
Welcome back to Never Morphed, the podcast in which I say these books are so good a lot. I'm joining in my CN Josephs to really get into the meat of book 6. As always, if you want full extended conversations, early episodes, and all episodes and live reactions for the Megamorphs books, like, I don't know, probably 10 years or some shit before they release on the public feed after I've read all the other books, head to patreon.com/hughousepodz. And from CN Josephs, if you can, please support the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. Link in the show notes. Seriously. I think we do quite a good bit, but I think we could literally just go on for ages. So
I think we could, yeah.
Tom is back home. He's acting chill. He's shooting the shit. And the whole time, Jake is like, I'm fucking on to you. I'm fucking on to you. He has such like hatred and loathing for what is going on here. And we get the practicals of how someone gets yeerked and like what biologically that looks like. So the yeerks, when you get yeerked, they flatten their bodies, they wriggle on up to your brain, and then they spread out and liquefy, and they get into all your brain's nooks and crannies, and they connect their neurons to your neurons. And I'm really sorry about what I'm about to say.
Well, I can see your notes.
I think it's kind of beautiful. Okay, so you know how there's like a trend right now of like, and I'm sorry, Noah, for you specifically, because I know that this is a big no-no for you, but like romantic cannibalism, I don't fuck with that. It does not do anything for me. I don't like it. I think it's yucky. I think that this is my version of that.
In like certain circumstances, like depending on how it's handled, I can be into romantic cannibalism.
Okay.
I was like really into Hannibal, like the NBC, I think, or whatever series when it was airing. But slugs will.
I love slugs. Something about like our neurons, our brains are united. Like you know that E.E. Cummings poem that's like really beautiful and also really fucking sad called I Carry Your Heart, I Carry It in My Heart. It's like that, you know?
Will, my darling, I'm now convinced that like if someone dropped you into Faerun, the first fucking thing you would do would go down to the Underdark and find the nearest Mind Flayer colony and ask them to tadpole you. I'm convinced about this.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. I would I would get dropped into Faerun and I would say, what do you mean there's no air conditioning? Yerk me, yerk me. Jake is talking about that and about how disgusting it is, which, okay, whatever floats your boat, fine. And again, Jake keeps being like, Tom, I fucking see you. I know what you're doing. And Tom notices this because Jake isn't subtle because he's like 11 or 14 or whatever. And so Tom is like, hi, what's your fucking deal? Why are you treating me like this? Why don't you just come to the sharing? Why don't you just be fucking cool, Jake? And Jake is like, bleh, I don't fucking need you. I don't want to join anything. I don't want to be part of something bigger. And in my notes, I also say, no thankies, which, yeah. And I also pointed out that, of course, Tom is like, why don't you join a part of something bigger? Because that is very literally what yeerks do.
In my notes, I copied in the section from Drake's narration at this part. He gave me a look, like he could tell me incredible things, like he could open up a whole new world for me. I could be part of something bigger, something important. And I just wrote under that in bolded all caps, cult.
Yes. Straight
this is like
up.
Cult shit.
Cult shit.
Like classic cult shit.
It's fucking called The Sharing.
It's the most culty ass name.
It really is. So then we find that Jake is having a recurring dream, but we don't quite get what it is yet. Recurring dreams in the series / in any fiction ever, not good. Not a good sign. So chapter 8, oh man. Okay, so my first note for chapter 8, I'm just gonna listen. This book is the opposite of book 4 for me, because book 4 was supposed to be like all nicey's lovely, and I was like, fuck this. And this book, my first note on chapter 8 is, y'all, I think I like cockroaches. I don't know, man.
This is my book 4 because I fucking hate cockroaches.
That's
hate
fair.
bugs.
They're gross.
There are many things that people consider gross that I do not find gross. I love snakes. Snakes are one of my favorite animal. I hope I have enough room to have a pet snake one day. I love lizards. I love moths. In certain circumstances, I can develop a certain rapport with spiders. But there are other bugs that just freak me out really bad. Like sometimes to the point of being like a psychosis trigger for me. And cockroaches are among them. I watched an episode of Big Brother recently where, and I'm going to try not to gag while I say this, but as one of the challenges, the contestants had to like stick their hand into like a bin of cockroaches. And I was like, I would literally just quit the game. I would say, you know what? I don't need $500,000 that bad. Bye. Take me out of the Big Brother house. I quit.
For me, this is wasps. I am so extremely afraid of wasps. I have a wasp tattooed on my body? Yes, I do. But they're really scary. Don't like them. So if this was wasps, I would be hyperventilating right now. But I don't know.
I don't mind
wasps. Like a little beetle. Wasps hurt you though on purpose. Forever. Like they just keep going.
They're important pollinizers.
Oh, okay. I guess cockroaches don't quite do that.
Cockroaches are an important part of the ecosystem. I just don't like them personally.
And I think we can all agree, fuck mosquitoes.
Fuck mosquitoes.
Fuck mosquitoes.
Cockroaches for me are like, have you ever had a coworker who like you deeply dislike on a personal level, but also you can acknowledge that it's kind of on you, like it's not really on them, like it's kind of a you thing, and like you can acknowledge that like they do good work and they're like an important part of like the organization. That's like my relationship to cockroaches.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. So shockingly, in this book, they have a fucking good plan. I'm so proud of them. I'm not used to them having a good plan ever. Their plan here is that they're going to practice the cockroach morph, but they're going to do more than that because they are planning on using the cockroach morphs for espionage and to listen in on the conversation at the sharing. But cockroaches don't got ears. So they have to figure out how to, like, if they're going to be able to actually hear what people are saying in the cockroach bodies. So they're going to morph into cockroaches, and somebody is going to speak, and they're going to see if they can figure it out. This is brilliant. I'm so glad that they're doing this. I'm very, very proud of them. And of course, as everybody is like, ew, cockroaches, Jake is like, it's fine. I can solo it. That's fine. That's normal. I can solo it. It's fine. Let me solo it. I'll solo it. And I'm like, you literally you're reaching Tobias levels right now, Jake. Don't fucking do this. And of course, everybody else is like, shut up. What are you talking about? Rachel gets very aggro about this, which I just, again, I'm very, very worried for book 7 because I know that she's the POV character and she seems like she, between this and the last book, like she's got a lot of pent up aggression right now. So I'm worried about that. And Cassie is the one who clocks that Jake is worried about Tom. That's why he's saying that he can solo it, because he doesn't trust that if something happens, the others aren't going to just straight up kill Tom. And like, that would probably be the correct thing to do. But yeah. Tom is still his brother. So he's just really freaked out that the shit's going to hit the fan like it always does, and they're going to kill Tom. And he does not want that to happen. So they pretty much realize that this is like a no-win situation. So if they fail at intercepting whatever is going on, the world is fucked. But if they succeed, Tom is fucked. We already know that Tom is like 1 step removed from Visser 3. He is trying to be 0 steps removed from Visser 3. And we know that if people fuck up a plan on Visser 3's watch, he's gonna eat him. Or something. He's gonna kill you. So they, either way, shit's gonna be really bad no matter how this pans out.
The fact that we are on book fucking 6 and the kids are having to deal with this like batshit insane tier ethical dilemma where they can either let this plan succeed, knowing that they will be dooming, probably hundreds and hundreds of innocent people to becoming controllers. But if they stop the plan, Jake's brother, who is completely innocent in this situation, might be killed. Like, this is like the most fucked up version of the trolley problem.
Yes. That's exactly it. Oh,
like, would you, like, hey Jake, hey little teenage boy, would you rather let hundreds of innocent people get fucking possessed or risk your brother being killed? Yeah. You have to be the one to decide this.
Yes. But Marco also sees what's going on here, and we know that Marco fucking gets this on a level that nobody else does because his hot, sexy, hot mom is Visser 1. She's so hot. She's so hot. Yeah.
You're not wrong. I was quick side note. I was so fucking amused when I saw in your like predictions document originally that you were like convinced early on that like something was up with Marco's mom.
I fucking knew it.
And she wasn't just dead.
I fucking knew it. I even predicted she's going to be brought back in a heart-wrenching moment, and she's going to be a big bad. I didn't expect her to be one of the biggest bads, but okay. I'm in love with her. I'm obsessed with her.
Love petty little bitch fights with Visser 3.
Yes. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And also, knowing that Visser 3 just looks like a fucking normal dude. We'll get to that, because I had a moment here. I had a moment in this book. I lost my fucking mind in this book. But, okay. So Marco gives Jake an out because he fucking gets it. And he's like, listen, you do not have to make a decision on what we're going to do tonight. We're just doing recon. Like, you don't have to be making up your mind right now. We need to go and get the information, and then you'll have a better scope of how to make up your mind. Don't worry about making a decision right now, which is advice that I really love seeing here, because this is like one of the things that I struggle with the most, is always feeling like I have to have made a decision on anything immediately instead of like being able to choose a thing when I must, you know? So I appreciated this one. Thank you, Marco. Marco continually being my favorite.
I love Marco.
I love Marco. So then we get, again, bringing up Jake's recurring dream. In this dream, this is not like a semi-prophetic or something one that Cassie got in book 4. This is just a trauma dream, to my knowledge. And in the dream, Jake is in his tiger morph and he is stalking Tom, and Tom is his prey. But then Tom turns around, and in that moment in the dream, like, it shifts and something is different. And we don't get what in this chapter, but it says that when Tom turns around, he's not Tom anymore. So my guesses here were Visser 3, Visser 1, or himself. And he doesn't say, so we will get to it later. So chapter 7 is when we are actually executing the plan. They're doing the cockroach morphs. They're going to go do recon at the sharing HQ. Rachel is again aggro mode, big. Like, I am so anxious about her POV because, like, consistently over these last couple of books, every time we've seen her, just like hanging out with the others, she is like ready to fucking tear someone apart. So I can't wait to see what all she's got going on up in that scary little head of hers. And Cassie has to be like, Rachel, recon, stealth, not murder, not fighting, not attacking. We are listening. We are listening. That's all. Thank God for Cassie.
I love her so much.
I love her. So Tobias ruminates on all of this because they are doing this this recon mission at night, and he's a hawk, he's a daytime birdie, and so he's like, man, I wish I could have been an owl. An owl would have been so cool. To which I say, Tobias, that would have been so much less convenient, all things considered. Like, it would have had the same problems, but the opposite. And I just, yeah, I feel like it'd be way less convenient. But you know, I guess he's allowed. He is allowed to want to be a thing that's not a hawk.
This is not important. I just need to be a bird nerd for a second.
Yes.
So fun fact, while owls do like excel at night, most owls actually see very well during the day as well.
Oh, shit.
A lot of owls actually are not nocturnal. They are I'm blanking on the word for it, but they are most active not during like the peak of daytime or the peak of night, but in like evening and dawn, like the transition periods.
Wow.
And like the point before and after that. So most owls can actually see very well during the day as well.
Good for you, owls.
Right. That being said, I do think ultimately an owl would have been a less convenient morph for Tobias to be trapped into, just because I feel like an owl just like hanging around, like perched on branches in neighborhoods staring at people would be a lot weirder than a hawk.
Yeah, it's way more conspicuous.
Yes. Thank you. I'm sorry. My autism could not allow an inaccurate comment about owls to go by unchallenged.
I love having owl knowledge, and I'm very proud of them for this. So I guess he's kind of right, but again, much more conspicuous. Yeah. So they're all morphing, and Axe is pro Roach. I love him. Axe is perfect. I just adore him. He's so good. And I love that he has none of these like preconceived notions over what's yucky and what's not. He's so good. So they are going to like roach crawl into the sharing HQ. And this building is so fucked up. the building for the sharing HQ, which is already like not a normal thing for a normal club to have, like a building dedicated to them. That's not fucking normal. Usually, if you're in a club, you have like a place that you go to, but it's not like you don't like own the building. Again, that just adds more to this hi, that's definitely a fucking cult. Like,
see, my take on it was actually that like the fact that they like own dedicated buildings implies that they are like a very, very large organization, like on par with organizations like the Girl Scouts or the Boy Scouts or the Boys and Girls Club, which
or
like
the
do
YMCA
often have their own, or the YMCA, which like do often have their own dedicated buildings.
That's true.
The specific building though,
it's so fucked up.
Can I just read this paragraph for you? Because it is like insane.
Please.
Our target was a single-story whitewashed building. There was only one door, and the windows were high up, narrow, and long. They were blocked off so that no one could see inside. So normal. There was a small parking lot with a dozen cars in it. Over the door was a sign. The sharing. Building a better life.
So that's fucked up.
Cult shit. Cult shit.
Cult shit. This is the book, more than any other book, where I think that I am solidified that this takes place on the East Coast. This just feels like a very East Coast sort of situation to me. So I'm sticking with the East Coast for now. So they have to morph like a ways away in a different basement because there's a bouncer outside of this building. Again, red flags everywhere. They morph and then they're like scurrying around and looking for a way to get into this building. And Cassie finds them a crack to get into, and immediately thinking about Jake stuck behind the fridge and thinking about having a little cockroach body and like trying to get in through these cracks, I was like, okay, Junji Ito, I have read Amigara Fault. Like, I know what happens. I know what happens, and it is not good. I'm very glad that they did not do that to me. For anybody who hasn't read that comic, if you are into horror, please go read it. It's so deeply fucked up. But if you know the like, this is my hole, it was made for me meme, that's where it comes from. And then things get worse.
Really, like, genuinely very great comic.
So good. I love Junji Ito, very unironically.
Yes, same.
The crack does get them there, thank God. They are not squished like Play-Doh spaghetti. And as they get in there, they hear Tom saying, "The day is here at last. It is time to strike the decisive blow in the invasion of Earth." Cool!
Oh boy!
Oh boy. Chapter 8. They are listening in. Oh my god. This is when I lost my fucking mind. I could not believe this shit. So I'm so excited to talk about this. It's so funny. So in chapter 8, they're listening in on the meeting, but Tobias is outside and he's like giving, reconnaissance from outside. And he says that there's somebody rolling up in a limo with bodyguards with guns. And as I was reading this, as a joke, I said it would be so funny if this were Visser 3. Like, if he only knew enough about human culture to know, like, what we do with celebrity to make himself seem like a celebrity. I said that as a joke. And then that's what it fucking was. Mr. 3 shows up to the clubhouse in a limo.
This is like not at all the mental image that we're supposed to have, I think, but I'm thinking about Visser 3 rolling up in one of those like, those like 90s, early 2000s limos that had like a hot tub in the back.
Yes.
Like, I'm just imagining him like lounging in the hot tub, like drinking champagne from the bottle.
Yes. Surrounded by models, like not knowing.
Yes.
Like not knowing why, but like they're there. And the real kicker here.
Were the models also controllers, or are they just there?
They're just there. They're like, sure. Who is this guy? My favorite part of this is that Visser 3 just looks like a normal dude. So I'm picturing him as like Colin from What We Do in the Shadows, which then makes all of the confrontation with him and Visser 1 so much funnier. And it was already the funniest thing ever because in my head, Visser 1 is like Sofia Vergara. Like, she is like hot. And then he is just a guy. He is just like default man. It's so fucking funny.
That is so fucking funny to me. I was sorry, just imagining Sofia Vergara and Colin from What We Do in the Shadows. But they're both just having this like bitch fest at each other.
Yes.
One of the things that I really love about like the conversations between Visser 3 and Visser 1 is that like if you have ever been in a situation where you have heard like two like fairly high-ranking members of a company who hate each other's guts have a conversation where they like are seething with hatred for each other, but having to keep everything constrained within like corporate speech and like the barest facade of politeness. That is like exactly how their conversations read to me.
Yes, Game of Thrones fucking wishes. Like, this shit is so good. And also, I think it's really important that we have to add that not only is this going on, but also one of these two people is desperately incompetent, and the other one knows it.
Yes.
So good. So after Visser 3 comes in, they can't see him with their eyeballs because they are cockroaches, but I was worried for a bit that this would be like Jake's dad or something, but I don't think that he is. I mean, he's not, and like we don't get any more detail, I don't think, on what he looks like, but while they're there, they do get confirmation for what is going on with the plan at the hospital, which comes to be like one of our big conflicts here. So they, at this hospital, they are confirming about 200 new controllers a month, which is a lot. That's a lot. And the governor is going to come be operated on soon. He is going to be under at this hospital. So their plan, and then he's going to run for president. So their plan is to yeerk him now and have him be a controller as the president of the United States. Nightmare.
Yeah. Nightmare scenario. Like, I mean, the characters like acknowledge at the end of this chapter, like that's pretty much game over for them.
Yeah.
Like if the yeerks manage to make a controller the president of the United States, like the yeerks would then have access to so much power, both political power and military power, that like these 6 fucking kids would not stand any chance anymore.
No, absolutely not. There is a little bit of like American exceptionalism here, and that they call the States like the most important country in the world. No, it's not.
The
but
most
I get what they're
powerful
saying.
nation on earth, Jake says.
Yeah. This, it's a book written by an American at this time period, and also the characters are American children in this time period, so I'm not gonna fault them too bad for this one. And then as they're listening and Jake is like freaking out, Visser 3 notices, somebody tries to stomp on one of the cockroaches. And Visser 3 is like, okay, those are definitely the Andalite spies. So let's fucking get them. And they all scurry and Jake gets hit by bug poison, like bug spray.
Can I just call out a Visser 3 moment, like a hashtag iconic Visser 3 moment?
Yes.
After the bugs are noticed and someone says, oh, don't worry, those are only cockroaches. They're everywhere on this planet. And then we get, fool, Visser 3 exploded. Do you think Andalites cannot morph creatures so small? Someone killed this fool for me. And then the sound of gunfire.
When he says fool.
Like someone actually just gets shot for this.
That's right. I love him so much. He's so fascinating. What an awful man. I love Visser 3. So Jake is dying. So Jake is like all the way dying. He is delirious. He's in and out of consciousness. He is like passing out. He is seeing the same nightmare with Tiger, him, and then Tom. But when he attacks, the dream changes. So now Tom is the tiger and he's the prey. So we finally get the follow up on how the dream ends. And then when he finally comes to, they are on top of the Boston market. Everyone got out of the situation fine. They were all just really worried about him because he was fully dying. But he demorphed. It seems like he's okay. And Tobias notes that it looked like Visser 3 and Tom were like close, like kind of buddy. Very like collaborative working together, which again confirms to Jake that Tom is trying to rise up the ranks and supersede Chapman. And chapter 10 closes with Jake asking Tobias what will happen to Tom if he fails Visser 3. And nobody answers because they all know that if Tom fails Visser 3, he is going to fucking be murdered. Yeah. Yeesh. So chapter 11, this was very confusing because there were like new characters who know Jake. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? But like, yeah, Jake has other friends. He's like,
I love the idea of
person?
you flipping to this chapter being like, what the fuck? Jake doesn't have friends? Who are these people?
I know. Rude of me. Jake is a charismatic sweet boy. Of course he's got friends. So he is playing basketball in PE with some other classmates. They're shooting the shit. Their dialogue is written so well. It's so believable. It's so organic. It just feels really, really good. Like you do get the vibe that these are people who have, you know, been in school together for a while and are buddies. Like it just works really well. And then they say that if Tom hadn't quit basketball, he definitely would have gotten a scholarship to play at a university. And I lost my mind about this. I really just hadn't thought about like, oh yeah, Tom could have had a future. And even if he gets unyeerked, he is never going to have that future. His future has been fucked. Like it's been fully taken from him. He'll never get to have that choice to go to a university on a basketball scholarship because he's been fucked over by this fucking parasite. His future was taken from him.
But I feel like this also just like ties into what we were talking earlier about how like, you know, the acclaim that comes and particularly came in like the late 90s with like being really fucking good at high school basketball. And it's not even just that they're saying that like he could have gotten a basketball scholarship. They're saying he could have very easily gotten a basketball scholarship because he was insanely good. Yeah. And like all of that has just been taken from him.
Right. His dreams. Like he could have, if he's gonna, you know, this easily get a scholarship for basketball for university, I have no doubt that he would have probably been a big contender to go on to the NBA, you know, and like,
oh yeah,
his career, his life, all of his plans doesn't fucking matter now. So tragic, really fucking heartbreaking.
And
Tom.
he's just like, he's a fucking teenager, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
It's so awful.
Like, I feel so bad for Tom. Just like everything. Like, obviously, I feel bad for all the kids, but also, like, I feel really bad for Tom, too. Like, just everything that is going on for him.
Yeah, at the end of this book, like, Tom has become, in my head, just one of the most tragic characters. It's so fucking sad. So I was left reeling by that, but then Marco is doing his job and he's doing it well. He called up the governor's people to try to figure out his schedule by lying and saying that he was a reporter, which is smart. I don't think that most reporters would get this knowledge. Maybe back then they would. But he got the schedule. He finds out that next Tuesday is the operation because it's the one day where it's just like conspicuously like not filled out the way that anything else is on the calendar. And he's like, okay, it's that. So next Tuesday is the operation, and that is their final deadline. If he gets put under and they haven't fixed this yet, that's when everything will be fucked. So they have to get in there and fix this all before next Tuesday. And they want to move forward on their plan the next day, which is Saturday. They want to get a move on this fast because Friday to Tuesday, that's like hardly any days. It's 5 days or some shit. That's not a lot of time. So my last note for this chapter is Cassie's got a plan, and Cassie's plan is flies.
Oh, I love Cassie.
I love Cassie. So chapter 12. This is a fun little caveat that was very strange. So Jake has to go buy his mom a birthday present. He only has $15 because his dad's birthday is also coming up, and he has to like save up and make sure that he's like, he can afford both. And I emphasize that like, it's really weird to bring up Jake's dad in this situation. I still have like weird feelings about whatever Visser 3's human morph is. I don't know. But Jake has gone with Cassie, but they've also brought Rachel. And thank God, because Jake and Cassie could not be more useless at finding his mom a birthday gift. It is alarming. And Rachel is the only one who knows how to go to the mall correctly. There's this passage that I love that is all just about like Rachel reading them for filth. And it says, Rachel rolled her eyes. No, you don't. Duh. Have you two ever shopped for anything? I feel like I'm dealing with Axe here. I mean, are you two from this planet? We're looking for something on sale. Something that says, Mom, I think of you as being young and cool. Something classic, understated. Most likely we're talking a department store. She pointed. That department store. Second floor towards the front on the right. That's where we want to be. Look for sale signs. They'll be red with black letters. She is so on top of this shit. She knows how to birthday present to mom. Like, she is so good. They do also... Rachel's talking about, like, buy this. It's on sale. The discount is great. And Jake is like, it is more expensive than what I was planning. And Rachel's like, but it's on a really good sale. So you're, like, actually saving more than you spend. And Cassie essentially says... Jake, just listen to her. She's doing girl math. Like, straight up.
Like, literally, the direct quote is, Rachel uses a whole twisted math involved in shopping. Don't even try and understand it.
Yes. I love this for Rachel.
Same. I do just really love moments like this where, like, we get to see Rachel just, like, being a normal teenager for a little bit.
Yes. I'm glad that she gets to take out her rage here in this way.
We're just imagining, like, God, can you imagine Rachel on Black Friday?
Scared. I'm really scared of that thought.
Rachel would be one of the people who ends up in the news for, like, breaking an old lady's arm to get a toaster or something.
Yes, that is exactly correct. As they're looking for this gift and figuring things out, they're talking about the fly plan and, like, yeah, it does make sense. It sucks, but it makes sense. And Jake thinks if they're executing this plan at the hospital, if they're getting 200 new controllers a month, they must have a yeerk pool there. So what we should try to do when we get in there is we should fuck up this yeerk pool. That's gonna do a lot of damage for them.
Which is smart. I just want to comment. Like, I think that's a really smart plan.
Yeah, it's great. They're really good at planning this whole book, which of course means that something is gonna go horribly wrong. So they test their fly morphs, and everybody agrees that they're very disgusting, but also very cool and very fun. They are all having a great time flying around. Axe is learning to talk like them. He's like using slang and stuff. I'm just so proud of him. I love him. I love the linguistics of friend groups. That's like a thing that I care about a lot. This rules.
we're past this, but there was a moment in chapter 7 where there was a line, Axe might have a very dry sense of humor, or he might have no sense of humor at all. I hadn't figured it out yet. And I just put that in my notes with the caption, Axe is autism.
Yeah. I love Axe. I really adore him. Chapter 14. Okay, so they're taking the bus, which is Tobias, to the hospital. They're flies. They notice that he has fleas, which, Tobias, take care of yourself. He can't really see them as flies. Or no, they can't really see as flies until they're like really close up to something. Like they're just so small and their eyes are so eyeball that like they just can't really process until they're right up close to something. So they finally make it to the hospital, and they follow a weird familiar scent as soon as they get in. And something about this was really stuck with me for the like yerk pool smell is it's a dark, deep, rich aroma, sweet and oily. Like that's such a specific scent description. I really like that. It's so
same. It's like, very evocative.
Very evocative. It kind of harkens to like, you know how people say that like dead body smell has like a sickly sweetness to it? It has that same sort of like sweetness in rot feel to me, which I think is just so good. Such a gross, but like so fitting. Ooh, it's so good. They know that this is a yerk pool. They're gonna demorph and fuck it up, and Axe demorphs, and he fully knocked somebody out. He's like, hey, there was a guy here. I knocked him out. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? So they demorph, and okay, so Axe did not kill that guy, only because he thought that it might be Tom and that Jake might be mad. So he just knocked him out, and Jake is like, yeah, that's good that you didn't kill him. Probably don't go around killing people, like as a general rule. Probably don't do that, and don't almost do that. Yeesh. So as they were flying around, they noticed what looked like a superdome, like a huge thing. Now that they are people-sized again, Axe, by the way, is not in his human morph. They demorphed. And for Axe, what that means is that he's in his Andalite body. When he demorphs, he does not go into human morph Axe. He goes into Andalite body. Very important.
Yes. And which I do want to comment, I think makes a certain degree of sense, even though obviously like an Andalite morph is more eye-catching, shall we say, just because, you know, it's been pretty firmly established at this point, you cannot move from one morph into another.
Right.
So if Axe was in his human morph and then ended up needing to morph into a more combat-ready morph, he would have to like go back to Andalite before he could do anything else. Yeah.
And they comment that like his Andalite body is like pretty combat ready as is.
Yeah.
So it's like good
he's got
to have
a fucking knife on his tail.
Fuck yeah, he does.
Also, he has hooves. Have you ever been kicked by a horse?
God, no, thank God. Sounds like a nightmare.
I've not been kicked by a horse. I've had my foot stepped on by a horse, and that in and of itself is like a multi-day bruise. Like, not fun. I'm convinced that Axe's hooves themselves could just fuck people up.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. Yeah. So they notice that this shiny Superdome, now that they're normal people sized, is a jacuzzi. That's what they're using for the yerk pool, which is brilliant. And Axe says that there must be a small Kandrona somewhere too, so they gotta fuck that up. The reason there's a jacuzzi in this hospital, like they do actually kind of justify it. Like this could be for like physical therapy, things like that, which does make sense to me as somebody who has chronic pain. And a big selling point of my house for me was that there is a jacuzzi tub. So that makes sense. So they're gonna rewire this jacuzzi. And I simply do not think that this is how this works. I think that this is absolute bullshit. I was gonna go look this up. I was literally going to look into how to wire a jacuzzi. And then I was like, I don't think I need to do that. Like, I think I can just give her this one. Like, I think I can just do suspension of disbelief. I don't think that I need to fact check this. I don't think it matters.
I feel like my reaction to this is literally that, like, I think it's like an Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme. Like, I'm literally like, that doesn't sound right, but I don't know enough about how jacuzzis are wired to dispute it.
Exactly. And yes, it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yes, exactly my feelings. Like, I literally... I was like, I should look this up for the podcast. And like, I'm sure that there are people who would want to hear me debunk this on the podcast. And to them, I say, give me $400. I'll learn about this for you.
Please, if you would like Will to debunk the science behind the whirlpool rewiring, please go to patreon.com/Hughouse Productions.
Pods. There we go.
Hughouse Pods. Sign up for a $400 a month contribution. And then we'll make a companion podcast that is just fucking myth busting any piece of inaccurate science in these books.
Yeah, perfect.
That's what I'm signing you up for, Will.
Thank you. For $400 a month, I could do that. So they're gonna rewire this. To mix up some wires, and apparently that will mean that all of the settings are automatically going to be at maximum. Again, I fully do not believe that this is how that works. Whatever, I don't care. I'm not looking into it. Give me $400. And they all, before, like, as they're doing this, as they're rewiring things, Cassie gets into her wolf morph, just in case they need more backup. Axe is still in his normal Andalite body, and then the door opens and there are two people in lab coats, and one of them immediately looks at Axe and says Andalites. So we know that these are two controllers and that the jig is up here. And then shit goes to fuck so fast, like blindingly fast. They are starting to fight. Reinforcements are being called in. There's tons of people swarming them. There's guns being fired, and a bullet ricochets and hits Jake, like, in the side of the head, which I'm assuming it, like, brushes his head or something. He doesn't get, like, literally shot in the head. But it hits him hard enough that he passes out face down in the yeerk pool. And I was like, oh, this is why this book is craey.
I want to make a quick side note.
Yes.
I mentioned in my last episode that I initially read these books out of order. It threw me off so fucking bad when I, looked up. I had to Google just like, Animorphs book Jake Gets Yeerk or whatever to remember what book this even took place in when I first filled out like the guest form for Nevermorphed. And I was fucking shocked that this happens in book 6, because I would have sworn it was like book 20 or 30 something. But no, book 6, Jake's second POV. We are just getting this shit.
Yeah. From here on out, the book becomes like radically different from any of the books so far. This is such a good book 6. This is such a good like second round of the cycle of narrators. Like, it's just such a good shift. And from here on out, it's crazy. It's so good. It's so sad. It's so upsetting. This book is really fucking good. So they get out of there, but like Jake is in and out of it, and he's like hearing this voice talking to him, and he realizes there is a yeerk in his head. He is a controller. Nevermorphed is hosted, edited, and produced by Will Williams. Our theme music is The Chase by Joey Hendricks. Our title is by Eddie Feely, and this podcast would not exist without Mike Schubert's podcast, Potterless and the Newest Olympian. You can find his works at shub.es, that's shub.es. Nevermorphed is a proud member of Hughouse Productions. You can find more at hughouse.productions and follow us on Tumblr at Nevermorphed. Get morphin'! On March 27th, 2024, Elon Musk was deposed in a libel lawsuit filed by Ben Brody. Musk's lawyer, Alex Spiro, tried to retroactively mark the deposition as confidential. But it wasn't.
Of course I can ask him, do you think you committed actual malice? Do you think you were reckless? Of course I can ask those questions.
The deposition is a new Hug House podcast reenactment of the entire deposition, word by word, in full, taken very seriously.
Things that he did wrong.
But that's the point. That's not what you're allowed
Until he really just can't anymore.
Not what you're allowed to do in the deposition. You can't just get him talking.
The deposition drops on the 4th of July, 2024, with 4 weekly episodes. Subscribe on your podcatcher of choice or find us at hughouse.productions today.